What if the decision for Landman Season 3 has already been made, and the network just hasn't told us yet? No big announcement. No trailer. No headline. Just quiet moves behind the scenes that most fans didn't notice. Because in the TV world, renewals don't always happen in public. Sometimes they happen in silence. And Landman is showing all the signs of a show that's already been chosen to continue. When a TV show is canceled, the signs are usually loud. Cast members move on. Writers talk openly. Studios give clear answers. But when a show is renewed early, the signs are often quiet. Executives stay vague. Actors give careful answers. And fans are left waiting, wondering what's really going on. That's exactly where Landman is right now. Since the end of the latest season, there has been no clear yes or no from Paramount. At first, that silence made fans nervous. But in the television industry, silence can actually mean the opposite of bad news. Very often, networks decide a show's future months before they ever announce it. The public announcement is not the decision, it's just the final step. With Landman, the lack of denial is important. No one from the studio has said the show is ending. No cast member has suggested their journey is over. And that matters because when a series is truly in danger, the tone is very different. Words like grateful, final, or closure start appearing in interviews. None of that is happening here. Instead, the conversation around Landman feels paused, not finished. Almost like everyone involved knows something they can't talk about yet. This is common with high-value shows, especially ones tied to long-term plans. Studios don't rush announcements when they are still locking schedules, budgets, and production windows. Another important detail is timing. Paramount is known for spacing out announcements to control attention. They don't want multiple shows stealing focus from each other. That means a confirmed Season 3 could already be approved internally, waiting for the right moment to go public. This strategy has been used before, and fans only realize it later. So when you step back and look at the situation clearly, the silence around Landman doesn't feel like uncertainty. It feels controlled, planned, almost intentional. And that raises a bigger question. If the decision wasn't made, why does everything feel so stable? This is where the evidence starts to matter. Because once you look at the patterns, the numbers, and the people involved, one thing becomes clear. Shows don't sit in this kind of quiet space unless their future is already leaning in one direction. If Landman were truly in danger, the conversation around it would feel very different. Fans wouldn't be guessing. They would already know. In today's TV world, bad news spreads fast. When a show is close to cancellation, leaks appear, insiders talk, and the tone online turns negative. But that isn't happening here. Instead, the silence around Landman is doing something strange. It's making people more curious. Not more worried. Fans started asking questions not because something feels wrong, but because something feels unfinished. The story didn't close its doors. Characters didn't reach a final point. Major conflicts were left open on purpose. That kind of ending is not an accident. Writers don't leave roads untraveled unless they expect to walk them later. And studios don't allow that unless they see a future ahead. Another reason fans are questioning the silence is the timing. Paramount has already spoken clearly about other shows, both renewals and cancellations. That makes Landman stand out even more. When one title is left untouched while others get answers, it usually means discussions are still active, not falling apart. Networks don't stay quiet about shows they've already given up on. There's also the way cast and creators are speaking. They're not celebrating an ending. They're not saying goodbye. Instead, their words sound careful, almost protected. Phrases are open-ended. Answers feel paused mid-sentence. That's not fear, that's restraint. And restraint often comes from contracts and plans that aren't public yet. Fans sense this instinctively. That's why theories are growing instead of fading. That's why conversations are shifting from, will there be season 3? To why hasn't it been announced yet? That change in mindset is important. It shows that viewers don't feel loss. They feel delay. And delays in television are rarely random. They usually mean the decision has already moved forward behind closed doors. The audience just hasn't been invited into the room, yet TV networks rarely argue with numbers. Opinions change. Trends fade. But strong performance leaves a mark that executives can't ignore. And when it comes to Landman, the numbers are doing something very important. They are staying consistent. That matters more than a loud opening or a viral moment. Many shows start big and then disappear. Landman didn't follow that path. Viewers stayed. Engagement didn't collapse. The show found its audience and held on to it, which is exactly what networks want in today's crowded streaming world. Stability is more valuable than hype, and Landman delivered that. Another detail often missed is who is watching. The series attracts a loyal, mature audience, the kind that watches full episodes, not just clips. These viewers don't jump from show to show. They stay invested. For a network like Paramount, that kind of audience is gold. It means long-term value, not short-term noise. There's also the replay factor. Shows that get rewatched perform better over time than shows that trend once and vanish. Landman has that rewatch quality. Conversations didn't end when episodes stopped airing. They continued. That tells the network the show has legs, not just a moment. Executives don't wait for fans to beg before making decisions. They track behavior quietly. Completion rates, retention, subscription impact. And when those signals line up, the renewal decision often happens fast, long before viewers ever hear about it. That's why the silence around season 3 makes sense. The numbers don't require defending. They already make the case. And when a show proves its worth this clearly, the question usually isn't if it will return. It's when the network decides to tell us. There's one factor that changes everything with Landman. And it has nothing to do with ratings or fan theories. It's the person behind the story. Taylor Sheridan does not create short journeys. He builds worlds. And once you understand how he works, the idea of Landman ending early starts to feel unrealistic. Look at his past projects. They don't rush to the finish line. They grow season by season, layering power, conflict, and consequence. His stories are designed to breathe. They expand. And most importantly, they are planned ahead. Sheridan doesn't write like someone hoping for another season. He writes like someone expecting one. Landman carries all the signs of that mindset. The characters aren't simplified. The conflicts aren't solved quickly. Instead, the show plants long-term tension and lets it sit. That kind of writing only makes sense when there's confidence in the future. You don't build slow-burning drama if you expect the fire to go out early. There's also the business side. Networks don't treat Sheridan like a risk. They treat him like a partner. His name brings trust, stability, and a proven audience. When he's involved, decisions are often made earlier and announced later. The network knows what it has, and it protects it. Another quiet clue is how Landman fits into his larger creative space. It doesn't feel isolated. It feels like part of a bigger picture, another corner of a world that could grow over time. That's not accidental. That's designed. So when people ask whether season 3 is possible, they may be asking the wrong question. With a creator like this, the real question becomes simpler. Actors are trained to speak carefully, especially when a show's future is still private. And with Landman, it's not the words we hear that stand out. It's the words we don't. No one has talked about moving on. No one has closed the door. That silence is not accidental. When a series truly ends, cast members usually shift their tone fast. They thank fans. They reflect on memories. They talk about how special the journey was. But none of that language is showing up here. Instead, Interviews feel paused, like everyone is waiting for permission to speak freely. Some comments hint at unfinished work. Others talk about characters as if their stories are still alive. That kind of language comes from expectation, not hope. Actors don't emotionally invest in characters they believe are done. They protect those roles when they know more time is coming. There's also the contract factor. Cast deals are often locked in early, even before public renewals. That means actors may already be tied to future seasons, but legally unable to say it. So they answer questions with soft smiles, careful pauses, and open-ended phrases. To fans, it sounds vague. To insiders, it sounds familiar. Another detail worth noticing is availability. None of the main cast has announced long-term commitments that would block a new season. Schedules look open. That's rarely a coincidence. When actors expect a return, they leave space for it. So while fans wait for official confirmation, the cast is already telling a story of its own, quietly, carefully, and without headlines. And that story fits perfectly with what the network itself seems to be planning.